Ultiworld's live streaming coverage of the USA Ultimate Division I College Championships is presented by Breakmark. Visit them on the web at breakmark.com.
The USA Ultimate Division I College Championships, where dynasties are built, legends are written, and legacies secured. Over 500 teams began this journey, but there will be only 2 left standing as champions.
Welcome back, Ultimate fans, to Ultiworld's live streaming coverage of the 2024 Division I College Championships. Field pass out in Madison, Wisconsin, and not that kind of field. This kind of field, folks, and a tremendous field of competitors here for the college championships. And we're in round 2 of day 2, although it is round 4 of the overall tournament due to yesterday's round shifts and some lightning delays that changed the environment of the tournament. But we are back on, all the games getting ready to get played, and we just are coming off of a very, very exciting opening to the day, so hopefully we can follow that up with some more great action. Keith Rayner joined on Field Pass by Kelsey Percy for this next round with a lot of tantalizing matchups, a lot of top seeds here, Kelsey.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. Came off against just an incredible game. Stanford versus Carleton. Stanford taking it for the win down to the wire, ultimate point. That was incredible. I had the privilege of working that round. If you haven't seen it, go back, watch it. It's an incredible game. But I'm already looking forward to some of these matchups. Vermont versus Colorado. Haven't gotten eyes on Colorado yet this season, so really looking forward to that. North Carolina, Oregon, that's a classic. Georgia, Oregon here on the other side. Georgia and Oregon have really proved dominant up to this point in their respective games in their pool, and so this is kind of for all the marbles.
Yeah, 1-2s in all 3 of these matchups for their respective pools. So that sets us up for potentially some real excitement after a round where we had comebacks and upsets.
And all the more important because we're not guaranteed, because of the time that we lost due to the storms and more storms potentially coming in, not guaranteed pre-quarters, Keith. And so that does mean that, you know, the final seeding in your pool becomes all the more important.
Opening hold for Oregon. Vermont also scoring on their end. So already we've got the teams from the green schools off to a good start.
Not often we get to say that.
Ain't easy being green. Well, we got 3 greens because we got double Oregon. Although Fugue and Ego both rocking blacks, I think, today. Ego with a turnover. It's going to give Georgia the disc.
Big shot aired out by Georgia. Won't go. Oregon getting a chance here.
And Kelsey, with so many great teams in this round, I mean, what are you expecting to see from some of these top competitors? I mean, these are all teams that are thinking about potentially winning a championship.
I think this is kind of where it's proof in the pudding. This is sort of the last real chance for teams to get adjustments as they're trying to get into bracket form. It is so important for teams to be peaking here at the right time, but also with this really long day ahead of them, to be managing legs, to be really utilizing the depth of their rosters going in. A lot of these teams will have either 3 or 4 games today, unusual for college nationals.
Maybe some confusion for Colorado as Emma Williamson not able to catch that upline throw. So Vermont with a chance to break.
Over on Oregon, Georgia. Oregon takes a hammer into the end zone. It won't go. Adam Miller picks up.
Miller likely to get a lot of touches for this Georgia team. And if he's playing well, they tend to be playing well.
Yeah, we talked first round about this Georgia team, how when they play loose, they play at their best. So important for them to get into that right headspace, be comfortable and not feel too much pressure, but this is a high-pressure game. Oregon has fantastic defense, really able to pour it on.
The bottom of your screen, Colorado gets it back but gives it up. And at the top left of your screen, big grab by Kalen Louder for UNC. And excuse me, it's UNC in the blacks, not Oregon in the blacks in that top left matchup. Oregon actually in the whites. Louder matched up with Trout Waybright. But Louder's throw towards the end zone misfired.
Yeah, talking about fantastic Oregon defense, really able to put the pressure on and make this new North Carolina team take shots they're not maybe their first option.
Speaking of shots, Waybright putting one up for Oregon, but well defended. Maybe I have to specify because I think we have Waybrights on both Oregon rosters. Mason Waybright of Ego, not putting up that huck.
Probably would have made the same choice though.
Stoppage on both the bottom and top screens, while Georgia set to pull after scoring.
Deep pull from Georgia, starting Oregon back in their end zone. Georgia doing a really good job of pressuring unders right now and making Ego have to work to find some of these soft spaces.
Keisha Hahn with a deep interception in the top left for Oregon, and now Waybright trucking towards the end zone and manages to track it down past the bidding defender. So Oregon gets on the board. Ties that game up at once.
Yeah, that was a huge effort from Waybright. Thought they'd come up short, but instead able to get it even without the bid, just running it down on sheer foot speed. Keith, we've been on a bit of a jersey kick. What do you think about this sort of faded stripe from Oregon on their whites?
It's a little hard to pick up on the broadcast, but I think in person, I actually like it a little bit more. The kind of, it's almost like a yellow gradient, I think, at the bottom of the jersey. So it's a little hard to pick up on the camera with the stripe, but I do like it. I'm with the Oregon kits this year.
I think one of my favorite things is getting the full grade review from the Ultiworld staff. Strong opinions abound.
Look, it's become a staple of the Ultiworld Nationals coverage. Teams are starting to send messages in and say, hey, you got to make sure you're considering our jerseys. And people are highly anticipating what they're going to get on the grades.
Well, and never underestimate the ability of a good, well-designed jersey also to be something that helps provide funding for a team. We've talked about how ultimate tournaments can be very expensive if you're covering, flights and, some players having to, be gone for extended periods of time. Just that ability to help provide funding and maybe increase access to players by having a popular jersey that people want copies of.
Plus, the kids love to look swaggy.
Yeah, big shot up for Colorado. Colorado in the red zone. Phillips will have it. Looking for a reset. Doesn't want to cram it into the front cone, which I strongly approve of.
Georgia scoring again in the top right. UNC in the top left, working in the red zone with Teresa Yu, and same field position for Colorado as Khalil Phillips punches it into the end zone for a Colorado score, their first of the game. Jamila Toure coming down with the score for Quandary. Meanwhile, Oregon making moves quickly on the attack, countering after the red zone turnover, but can't finish off a red zone possession of their own. North Carolina able to break that up.
Yeah, this North Carolina-Oregon matchup looking really scrappy. Going to be interesting. Some of these teams still playing as if they're kind of first-round jitters, just not as smooth as we know they can be. There is a bit of a wind, nothing near as strong as the previous game. Fields are still a little damp. Of course, a couple fields, I walked through what felt like 2 inches of water just to get to this call, Keith.
Yeah, two of the fields that were the field pass fields yesterday are no longer playable. So that was another element that the USA Ultimate staff had to account for when they redrew up these pools for today. I mean, it was a real puzzle piece with a lot of pieces that they managed to put together to keep this tournament on track. We're grateful for it because it's given us some great ultimate as North Carolina finds their way into the end zone. And if we want to talk about kits, these are some of the more unique kits, I think, at the event. The ransom note look, kind of the different cutout letters of various colors, both on the front and extending into the numbers on the jersey. 2 different number colors. This is an out-of-character look for a team, I think, that's usually pretty buttoned up.
Yeah, talking about North Carolina here, I like it. I didn't know what I was seeing when I first looked at it, but it's growing on me. I think another one of my low-key favorites, the hyper-simplistic Georgia peach look.
Yeah, they debuted some new kits for Nationals. A couple teams are doing that.
I will say from a commentary perspective, massive props to Ego. I can see their numbers crystal clearly. Very appreciative. Able to identify players and give them the accolades they deserve when they make a good play.
So every game right now set between points. Vermont holds, Oregon does the same, and UNC holding up their end as well. Deep shot going up for Oregon, and a lovely one at that. Cyrus Linkfield on the sprint, although it is outside the end zone, so Linkfield and company will have to do a little more work if they want to get this hold. And Linkfield forced at a high stall to try and stuff in. I'm not even sure what type of pass. Maybe a push pass, but whatever it was a turnover as Izzy Myers-Miller had no problem swatting that down. And Linkfield looks a bit beside herself at the moment, and now a deep throw the other way, but Oregon intercepts. Meanwhile, Georgia with a layout on the goal line in the top right, and they punch that in. So the action's coming fast and furious here.
Yeah, Georgia looking super smooth. They were able to slow down Oregon on the previous point. So one of the big things I think will be as teams are in on the hunt for a break, who can get there first. Georgia, of course, with a lot of firepower in Aiden Downing picking up the disc there. This will be his first crossover of the game. Always interested to see where coaches make that transition. Where do they choose to cross over players? Reminder again, having to play the extra games today, so taking care of legs and making sure they have enough in the tank is a really big consideration.
UNC hoping that they could be the first team to strike that break. But they won't beat Vermont, who gets there first. Ruckus goes up 3-1 on Colorado.
Keith, what are your thoughts on this Vermont team?
I mean, they have been so strong this year, and it feels like a continuation of this program's growth. They continue to get great rookies each year and integrate them well, and they haven't lost a lot over the run that they've had. And this is kind of the culmination of a 3-year or 4-year buildup for Vermont. That they've done better at every Nationals tournament, and it feels like had a stronger regular season each of the years too preceding. So they have fought their way up to semifinals last year, and now I think in some arguments the title favorite. You could take your choice between them, UBC, Carleton, or this UNC team. I think those are the big four. Although, that's just when you get here, because Stanford just beat Carleton last round. So I don't think anybody's expecting the big four to just waltz ahead.
Yeah,
UNC getting a break too, by the way.
A lot of parity this year, a lot of opportunity for upsets just because so many teams are so deep and so good without really clear dominant teams. Interesting when I'm looking at this Vermont roster, though. Obviously, a lot of Northeast talent, but a couple key standouts. So Cooper Lovich coming from the Chapel Hill Triangle area. Monahan coming from Seattle, Washington, and then Maria Muller from Minneapolis, Minnesota. So a lot of strong youth areas. Really nice when you can get recruits from areas that have that skill and development and access to Ultimate at such a young age already, potentially getting a leg up on your freshman class.
Great offensive possession for Colorado for the hold. And it's funny, I've actually heard that the community, the school and community vibe of Vermont is basically like an East Coast Boulder. I think Boulder's been a really attractive place for people who really like the outdoors, really like to go on the mountain and stuff like that. And that's kind of what you get a little bit of at Vermont, a relaxed environment. And so I think that it's attractive to young people. And then when you've got an elite ultimate program with a lot of talent, then that's attractive too. And I think Vermont's been able to capitalize on that.
I will say, as someone who spent a couple summers in Boulder, Colorado, it is somewhere that I would love to live, just in and around that area. Prohibitively expensive. One of the most affordable ways to live in Boulder. Guess how? Be a student at UC Boulder. Best, most affordable housing in the state.
Oregon striking quickly as well on the left side, and on the right side, the men's division team with a nice defensive play against the huck to Aiden Downey.
Colorado crossing over Bradley and Phillips. Made an effort to get one of those breaks back.
For Fugue, that was Julia Berard on the score. You can see that one again as Ego gets into the end zone with a break. I think that game is back on serve. Vermont's Lucy Toppin gets a goal at the bottom of your screen. And, I mean, it's hard to keep up. There's big names, big producers all over these fields. Shout out to our big producers in the truck. These teams are playing at a high clip, and it feels like, to me, it feels a little bit like a powder keg.
Yeah, there's just such great potential. I love that. I know I already talked a little bit about the parity, but it just feels like so many games where it could go either way. Who's hot? Who's focused? Who's able to limit their turns or execute on a counterattack on defense?
Some very interesting matchups, because I think that in the women's, when you look at these women's division games, this Oregon team is very athletic, and then so are Vermont and Colorado. So I think you have a ton of athleticism on the field. I think that this North Carolina team is a bit more systems-based, and this year's iteration of Pleiades is a little more of a grindy team than I think we're used to. They're so clinical over these past few years, but this team's a little less seasoned, and so I think that they rely less on just like, hey, we're going to slice and dice you to death, and more like, hey, we can grind out points, we can get this back after turnovers, we can really make you work when we're on defense. I think that's a little more of the identity of this team. Oregon jump ball, maybe some of that athleticism playing in their favor right now as Berard brings it in and then puts it in the end zone for Waybright.
Yeah, Colorado had carved their way over to the break side, was marching up the field, doesn't quite get it, and now Vermont on the counterattack. Shot out to open space. That shot coming from McCarthy.
And an easy reception for Izzy Berman for Vermont to break. So they'll go up 2 breaks in that one. Oregon breaking back to make it an on-serve contest with North Carolina. And Ego did the same last point. They're trying to fight off Georgia. And you don't want to see this Vermont team start connecting on the deep shots. Kennedy McCarthy throwing deep pucks is one of those things that's like, well, she's maybe the best deep receiver of the division, and if you just try and back her, she could kill you with her throws too. That's why she is such an offensive dynamo. It's going to be firmly in the Player of the Year conversation, but if not, certainly another Offensive Player of the Year nod could go her way.
And I love the body possession there of McCarthy off balance, having to do a spin move to catch the desk, turns it into a break side backhand huck.
McCarthy was the runner-up for Offensive Player of the Year last year. Could claim that award for herself. Also got a Georgia score for Adam Miller. Keep that one at 4-4. Zoom in with UNC. UNC, I think, has had a couple of injuries this year that have kept them from really getting their complete team together. So I think there's a chance that you're going to see this team find a new gear at Nationals. Got Allison Riley and now Kaylin Lauder back with the squad.
Yeah, I think that Georgia score actually going to Goldstein. But definitely looks like Adam Miller was involved. We just kind of expect him to go every other.
When did this foot spike thing become so popular? The heel spike? I feel like that's the new hotness. I saw it in a lot of Callahan reels. I remember
cheeky.
I remember Dawn Colton's Callahan reel pretty well. She gets a goal for UNC.
Yeah, Colton, a name we expect to be saying a lot more. I think even more than height, just the reach, the wingspan, or call it ape index of Colton is really impactful. Even more so if we get a little windy and they decide to put, Colton in one of those zone mark spaces, just can absolutely rack up blocks in the deep space or, again, in those handler positions.
Quick score for Ego. While at the bottom, Colorado scores. Cranston getting the goal and the assist from Gaskill.
Gaskill showing athleticism, good control going over the defender, a little bit of style there in that catch. Centering very quickly and throwing that assist.
Not sure who took this time out, but I like it if you're Colorado. You're down a little bit, you punch in a hold, and now you've got some things to talk about that are positive. You're not just taking one of those hey, let's collect ourselves timeout, but you got work to do. You see Claire Chastain trying to motivate that team, one of the most renowned player coaches in the Ultimate World, famous for both of her abilities.
Yeah, Chastain, a true hybrid player, able to get it done with throws or legs. I love the player coach position where you get to highlight what you can obtain. Keep after this. Work on your skill sets.
Few connecting on another deep shot to Linkfield, and then Linkfield finishes off the possession with a little ISO cut. And Cyrus Linkfield is cooking a little bit in their pool play matchup against North Carolina.
I was talking to Angela Lynn, one of the Oregon coaches, courteously taking me through their lineup. And Cyrus Linkfield was one of the players that Lynn highlighted as just being a powerful cutter, someone that they were going to depend on, that they could rely on to open up the field and be pulling in those big yardage gains.
I picked on our Deep Look episode, I picked this Oregon team to score some upsets and make it to semifinals. And Cyrus Linkfield is a big reason why. I'm a big believer in Linkfield's difference-making play. A tremendous athlete, a fierce competitor, brings so much to this team, and now has a little more experience under her belt. Which I think this whole Oregon team, which was so young last year, but brings back a lot of talent. I think there's a real potential for this to be the beginning of a great run for Fugue that harkens back to the Fugue days of old. Speaking of player coaches, Angela Lynn, a little removed from being dominant, but once upon a time, one of the premier women's division players in the world.
Yeah, still one of the most recognizable names for sure.
And I'm pretty sure she could lace him up and still cook a little bit.
Oh, I would not want to be taking that particular coverage matchup.
Colorado with a break chance. But it is well defended by Lucy Toppin. Top left, Erica Birdsong brings in a sky. She's a difficult matchup in the air for sure.
McCarthy able to bring it down, and now McCarthy marshaling the red zone offense.
Posey's throw behind the receiver, and that's just too tight a window to hit. It's funny, Claire Chastain on the other side of this, she's the person who I heard refer to the inside forehand as the devil's throw. It is so tempting. There, Vermont falls victim.
It always looks so open, but I think equally powerful is the fake the inside throw and communicate to bring your cutter back across for the more open side flick. Call it the reverse 7, if you will.
I don't know if the inside forehand is some sort of problem, then it's got to be one of my ultimate vices because I over rely on that throw for sure.
I was talking to one of my players, Noah Hansen, one of the Carleton coaches actually, was playing for the Minnesota Wind Chill last night, talking about the development of lefty backhands and how I just missed it as a player. I think I really got introduced to a lefty backhand when I was in my, call it mid to late 20s. Have practiced it for many years at this point. Still don't feel like I have good mastery of it, and how it opens up the options where that inside flick could be really tough. Colorado thought they towed it in, called out by the observer. A lot of excitement. Tremendous effort, but just not quite there. Vermont gets another chance.
Sarah Laughlin, not for a lack of trying on that score. Georgia converts after the deep block. Gets back to Ego, and now another high throw for Vermont. And this is how they want to play. I mean, they're so good in the air. They have a lot of good deep throwers, and Caroline Stone with the sky. And that's got them hyped up.
That's the second big play that Stone has made. Stone fighting through a little bit of contact in the previous point. Vermont just looking so solid right now.
Stone leveling up over this offseason, I feel like. Playing club in Texas. And after a runner-up Rookie of the Year campaign to another player on the stream, Trout Waybright, Stone has really evolved into a fantastic option who can play in the backfield or get downfield and use her size and power to make plays like that.
I will say as a coach, that just so casual backhand to the end zone makes me nervous every time. Good attack by the cutter there and going to the disc and not letting the defense get too much closer.
Micah Glass, speaking of rookies, a Rookie of the Year last year. He marches the disc to the front of the line for Ego. And, man, there's just so much young talent in Oregon these days.
I'll say you were saying rookie. I was like, can you really call Micah Glass a rookie? But
he was last year.
Yeah, Rookie of the Year last year makes sense.
Muscling a forehand into the deep space. And that perfectly lands but dropped by the receiver. And that's one he's going to want back. Marcus Beadler just can't bring in what was a perfect throw from Glass.
Beadler made such a good adjustment. Looked like he'd really edged towards, pushed the defender out of position, and then was able to fade back. Really surprised he didn't come up with that.
There's a call back on the throw, so we'll see what the outcome's going to be. Take a look at the throw again, and we'll see if maybe you can see a travel or a foul call. Potential travel, but I don't know if the foot. I don't know if the foot moved after the release. But given that it was a turnover, I don't know how the outcome's going to change here.
Yeah, that's one of those where I feel like you just play advantage.
Erica Birdsong taking flight for a layout catch. Unfortunately, he's going to take an injury. Maybe had the wind knocked out of her or something, but made a tremendous play.
Yeah, moving pretty easily, so maybe that's just the being shaken up piece. Incredible play by Birdsong.
Abby Gillich gets a score for Colorado to make it 7-4, keep that first half going. UNC finishes off a little, got to make sure after your teammate makes a play like that, you got to make sure to pick him up and get the score. Teresa Yu into the end zone. And this UNC Oregon game has been a tight one. Both teams feel like they're able to execute their game plan thus far, and it's going to be who can try and take control of this game and force the other team to play their way for a little while.
Well, and look at our scores. 6-5, North Carolina, Oregon. 6-5, Georgia, Oregon. 7-4, Vermont, Colorado. These are all staying fairly close. Vermont really in the best position to take half and kind of close this out. But much cleaner play overall, especially than we were seeing yesterday, teams having to fight through the elements. This is really prime ultimate weather. Another look at this goal from Georgia, top right of your screen. Just really gorgeous. Around break throw to that front cone, lots of touch.
And after last round, we learned you got to pay attention to the whole field complex. You never know when we're going to get some potential upsets. I mean, we've got Michigan and Georgia in the women's division. They're tied at 4s. We've got Sloan, Colorado. They're in a close one at 6-6 over in the men's division in that contest. Of course, you can follow along. Subscribers can in the Discord. Got live updates from our reporting staff. Plus, some other folks who happen to be in or at or around the tournament. Great games across the board here. Even the game that's a 3-point game does not feel settled by any means. As Colorado marching towards the end zone now. Potential break for Quandary. And there it is. So if you might have been ready to tune out a little bit to that Colorado-Vermont game, don't yet, because Quandary's not going to let you. They break to it, make it a 2-point deficit.
Yeah, this Colorado team has so many weapons, just so many. And here you're seeing one of their greatest strengths too, their energy, the hype that they can bring to a game to get themselves back in that fighting mindset. They're never really out.
Yeah, I think they're one of those teams that they can be a little bit on an emotional roller coaster sometimes, but the highs are very high. I mean, when they get rolling and they're loud, I think they become a very scary team. And I think that nobody underestimates them just based on a less than stellar regular season by their lofty standards because of how great they have been for the past couple of years. I think that when people they come up against this team and they see a bunch of U24 players on the line, they're not thinking about, oh, Colorado lost X, Y, and Z game during the regular season. They're thinking about, this is Quandary. They've got Chloe Phillips and Stacey Gaskill and Emma Williamson and Abby Gillick. Like, they got Faye Burdick. She's an all-region player. Like, this is a tough, right.
Yeah. What do you
We better be on our A game.
Yeah, Vermont so far showing that A game. They gave up the turn there, but they're going to go back and punch with their offense for half.
Oregon score in the top left. Keeps that game on serve. Break a piece.
Love this smooth crossfield look from Oregon. Love also that they're attacking that crossfield space, not trying to cram it into that front cone. It's been one of the things that I think I've enjoyed most so far this Nationals is just seeing the end zone discipline. The willingness for teams to work and try and seek those more advantageous end zone positions.
Cole Kruke gets into the end zone for a Georgia hold, while Vermont missing on a red zone possession. Not quite sure what Kabrilovich was looking for. Caught her teammate off guard. So you can get another chance to see Kruke track that down in the deep space.
Yeah, that shot was from Adam Miller. Miller, just such a powerful facilitator.
Break chance now for Fugue. Got the just near midfield. Keisha Hahn. Up the line, deep throw, perfectly hit. Takes 2 tries for the receiver, but a score nonetheless, a break for Oregon as they get in front of Pleiades.
Yeah, big second effort there. I want to say the first lead for Oregon this game. Their hype, you can see it. Wouldn't it be so cool if they could get on this break train, take out half against this North Carolina team?
Keisha Hahn, a great addition, U20 player and a youth teammate of the likes of Linkfield and Waybright, and played last year her freshman season at Western Washington, but decided to transfer this year, and that's a high-quality recruit to bring into the program.
Whew, understatement, Keith.
And she's made an instant impact as one of their top players. Just a fantastic handler. You saw it on display there. Finds Jana Rogers for the Oregon break. Vermont takes half, the bottom of your screen, over Colorado. What's been a pretty tight one. Colorado will be down to start the half, but will receive, I believe, out of the break.
Yeah, Oregon so far moving it really smoothly. You're seeing Glass there with the disc, really directing traffic. Oregon's been having good cuts, but a little slow to clear. And that's gotten them into trouble having to reset it across instead of being able to work it up.
Georgia's defense doing a great job making Oregon work, but Oregon continuing to find a steady stream of horizontal throws to keep possession alive. Deep shot on the left side of your screen going up to Dawn Colton, and nobody in the same area code. As Colton brings that in and then gets a little flip to Louder. And I think that's part of this UNC team's strength is Dawn Colton is like the reserve option. It's like our offense needs a hold. Well, we'll just bring over Player of the Year. Like, what are you going to do about it?
Well, and I love that. We saw that a little bit with Carleton of Tori Gray having a permanent space on the defensive line, because then you get to use Tori Gray's attack speed, but then the counterattack too, the nice throws that open it up, but still able to pull into that offensive rotation exactly as you're saying when you need that look. Colton, just as impactful.
Well, go ahead and start ringing the bell, because, folks, if you pulled the lever, you got all sevens. And you can collect your winnings over at the prize window. But these teams hoping to capture a prize of a halftime lead. We've got the 1-2 in Pool D in the women's division and Pool B in the men's division on your screen, battling it out to see who could have the advantage at the break. It'll be Fugue receiving in that leftmost women's division matchup and Georgia receiving in the men's division contest. And stacked line for UNC. It's Louder pulls.
Keith, considering how sloppy yesterday's play was, what do you think about what you're seeing today?
Well, I mean, for one thing, the conditions are great. It's a lot easier to be positive when you come out. There's warm sun. There's a lot less wind. But I also think that teams are rising to meet the level of the competition right now, and I think that speaks to the strength of this field. Oregon's playing with confidence, and a lot of times when you saw teams seated below UNC take them on in the past, they look intimidated. And I think that you have teams that are full of talented players. You have elite club experience. You're going to get these types of games. Keisha Hahn looking to trout Waybright for the end zone. Waybright bids, but comes up just short. Not sure if they could have kept that inbounds anyway, but he did give it all he could. And so disc back to UNC with a chance to break for half.
Yeah, huge effort. And now is where it may pay off for UNC. Not only that they had that heavy crossover line, the huge pressure they were able to create on D, but now they've got just a full arsenal of players to marshal here on the counterattack. A little stagnant to start, but opening things up.
This Acacia Hahn and Teresa Yu matchup, a lot of quickness and intelligence on display between the two, but we're going to go to the bull rush. Huck it to Dawn Colton. Now in the red zone. And earned back by Fugue.
Something to consider here, Waybright just made that huge effort in the end zone, then had to run the full length of the field to chase Colton. Is this going to slow Waybright down a little bit as this point progresses with these multiple turns?
Some confusion perhaps on that look. Phoenix Adams trying to get one out to space, but Colton's the only one home. So a great field position for UNC as Riley picks up. Around for Sarah Combs. Combs around break looking for Teresa Yu and nicely hit. Combs to Yu for a UNC break that puts them back in front, although I believe that's on serve as they go into the halftime. Still favoring UNC, however.
Yeah, both these teams came to play. It's just so exciting. Again, reminder, folks, we're not even in bracket play yet. This is just a taste of what we might see coming down the pipe.
Take another look at how UNC finished the half. Back-to-back around breaks. Teresa Yu goes around to Combs, and Combs matches that. Finds Yu, although Colton was right there for a score too. And Oregon looking to take half. Glasses throw a little bit high for Keali McCarter. Tough play to make.
Yeah, McCarter had a wide open cut. That's just heartbreaking. A little bit of pop there, maybe an effect of win on the play, but two-hand that if you're in doubt. You got to bring that one down. Georgia now with a chance. Adam Miller picking up.
Jake Powell resetting. It's been all side to side right now for Georgia.
Lots of short field. Georgia's thrown tons of yards. They've just all been horizontal.
Yeah, and that does vacate the deep space, but Micah Glass winning the foot race. Coming from behind and pulling that away before Kuki can get to it. And I think Micah Glass is feeling himself, although there is a call back on the play. And Glass and Krookie still discussing some of the previous interaction.
When I was talking to this Georgia team right before the game, players were very eager to tell me that Cookie's often referred to as Cookie Monster, but wanting to see a little bit more gobbling from Cookie here on this. Just a little bit of extra effort was already too overextended. Glass showing really good closing speed.
I guess the subject of discussion was that there was no proper ground check from Glass, who did take the disc from outside of the main 70. And so maybe that was the issue. His disc is all the way back there. And not only does Glass ground check this time, but he takes a timeout. So they'll get some extra time to analyze how they want to initiate this possession.
I like that call from Oregon. Lets them catch their breath, settle in. This Georgia team has pressured them so effectively. I think in a lot of ways they got lucky. That wasn't the best deep shot I've seen Georgia take. That double coverage piece, Glass showing really good help defense coming from that backside. But coming back up on our screen, Vermont versus Colorado. Vermont takes the edge going into the first half. Now can they show the same energy and possession that they showed in the first half, or will Colorado rise to the occasion and pressure them back?
Trying to keep an eye on some of the other results from around the tournament. Looks like Oregon State up 8-7 in their matchup. Pitt up 8-5 on Minnesota. Lots of good games here. Quick fire look for Stacey Gaskill, but she and McCarthy, a tremendous aerial duo going up against one another, but doesn't come into play as the disc heads over both their heads. Glass checks in as we reinitiate possession in our last point of the first half of Georgia and Oregon. Glass looking to reset the count. Gets a late stall option. Pump fake for the Hawk. Stoppage and some discussion in the Vermont Colorado game. Very patient possession for Oregon, but then floats out and under, and it's an easy poach pickoff. Just inattentive moment for Oregon's offense and frustration as they give up the score to take half. That's a Georgia hold, but a hard-fought one, and Chandler Boyd-Flegel just misreading the field in that moment and frustrated with himself for the mistake. Just an easy interception. And on the fast break, just never a chance really for Oregon to recover.
Yeah, now Georgia prime field position, able to take half. Huge advantage, both like numerically, but also just in terms of energy and momentum going in.
So getting ready for the second half of all three of these games. The games are coming hot here in Madison, Wisconsin. Second half coming up.
The last 50 years have seen a lot of positive change
around a whole range of important issues.
And some things remain reassuringly unchanged.
Like the spirit of our game.
Ultimate is 50 years young
and still a perfect circle
of fair play,
athletic pursuit,
and camaraderie.
In fact, Ultimate was a social network
before social networks even existed.
Respetamos nuestras diferencias
and understand the value that they add.
The revolution of the disc in flight continues to prove
that there's nothing we can't achieve
when we
pull together.
Long live Ultimate.
Larga vida Ultimate.
Long live Ultimate.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome.
Regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds, defy the naysayers,
and even defy gravity.
A place where it's accepted that success
doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave, to the determined.
A place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
A place where we remember to laugh.
Where we learn to trust.
Learn to high-five strangers.
And eventually, even learn to fly.
A place where character, community, and competition
are all as balanced as a disc in flight.
That place isn't in a stadium or on a field.
That place is in the spirit of our players.
Because we don't just play Ultimate, we live Ultimate.
Welcome back, folks, to Field Pass, your exclusive ticket to experiencing Nationals in full. And into the second half we go. Colorado with a nice score to kick us off. Fate Burdick going up strong for a score. Second half underway also for North Carolina and Oregon. Oregon with the disc now. And I may have misspoken. We may have. No, that game is on serve. I'm pretty sure. Maybe not. Maybe I'm trying to get back to the beginning and see if UNC's clearly on a defensive point right now.
Just based off of personnel, but Oregon, after showing a lot of patience and ability to work it to the force and break side, does miss-execute on a four-side flick, and North Carolina now marching down the field.
And that to me is the thing. That is where Fugue's fate is going to be decided. Is can they execute on some of the things that require some discipline from them, particularly when they're around the red zone. Those are going to be the moments, I think, that will be definitive about how far this team can go, because they have all the other pieces. All the other components are there. They're well coached. They have a lot of talent. They're very athletic. They have a clear game plan. They have depth. Like those are the hallmarks of things of teams who can compete. And so all of those pieces are there. It's going to be about just tying it all together with that execution.
Eliana Norton making a good read play. The shot was intended for Colton. Colton tried to immediately set up a mark, but it looks like they will cause stoppage and violation, and Oregon instead off to the
Norton, the team's Callahan nominee. They're back to work, however. Towards the red zone and really just stuffing it into that open side. There's the nice throw to release valve to Waybright. Waybright out to space for the score. Another appearance for Berard. Gets to the end zone again.
Yeah, that looks way smoother. Part of Oregon also will be they're trying to find those pieces, but you need players other than Waybright to be able to execute in that space. You talked about discipline. They need to be clicking on all cylinders, and a big part of that is effectively cutting and clearing. I like that was such a strong cut. What I don't like is that I didn't really have an idea of who the next cut would be for Waybright if that didn't go.
Vermont trying to work to a hold and get that double digits on the scoreboard.
Colorado with some crossovers here. You see Phillips is on the field.
And Phillips covering McCarthy, so in a star matchup there. Throw towards the back line of the end zone, and a number of targets there for Vermont. Stone casually brings it in. Shows a little love for the defense, but then back to 11 on her team. And the number 2 overall seed in a favorable position at the top of Pool B right now.
Stone working hard to set up that cut. Love the athleticism of Stone. That's not an easy catch. Jumping read. Reminder, too, looking back into the sun a bit, looking to find that disc. So that's a tough track down to make.
And you talked about the different recruits that this team has had. Caroline Stone, another under 20 U.S. national teamer, I believe from Texas. So, not exactly who you would expect to be appearing in the Northeast, but wanted to get a little more snow in her life, perhaps.
You could say that. Yeah, Austin, Texas, to be precise.
It was a high-profile recruit for them after her national team turn, and has certainly lived up to the billing. Back underway with Georgia and Oregon as well. Oregon working on a break chance in a game that is on serve right now. Georgia up 8-7. UNC finishes off their hold. Oregon's handlers doing most of the work right now. And a fantastic block by Adam Miller. Just because you take him off the D-line doesn't mean the defense goes away.
Adam Miller looked so unassuming at first glance. Like, kind of minimal stature, not flashing huge muscles, though I'll say the almost oversized nature of these Georgia jerseys only, I think, baits that a little bit further. It's just someone that if you looked at, you wouldn't consider. But the outsized impact that Miller has on the game.
How does she do it, folks? Kennedy McCarthy at the bottom of your screen. Well, maybe she did it illegally in this case, I think, but just over the top of Emma Williamson, despite the presence of the sideline, giving her very little room to work with. Comes up with another massive sky. I mean, it's hard for me to think of a player I've seen so dominant in the air in the women's division.
Can we get another look at that?
Take another look at this play. I mean, on the sideline, just goes up with one hand. Did not have the premier position, I feel like, but has great reach. Is really good at bringing in throws with one hand, and excellent timing on top of being, big and athletic. McCarthy coming down with that one, and Vermont gets into the end zone. Georgia also able to hold on their end.
So the big play from Stone, that huge play by McCarthy, these just feel like Vermont just tightening down, really cinching. Colorado, if they don't respond, they're about out of this game.
I think the thing that I wonder about this Vermont team, as far as their ability to really go out there and win a title, is, are they a team that can play the game well, and then when they have to, they could just bully ball you with their ability to win jump balls, to get out into space, to throw hucks? Or are they a bully ball team that, you wonder about, hey, can they execute in a situation where that isn't a winning strategy for them? So I think that when their ability to be the bigger, stronger, athletic, more aerial team is their primary identity, that might not serve them well. But when it's their superpower, when it's the complement to their overall game, the thing that puts them over the top, that's when they start to look like the best team in the field.
Yeah, bully ball, not a phrase that I use that often. Interestingly enough, that type of play is something that I would say is more characteristic of, say, Georgia offenses. Something that, Keith, you know quite a bit about. But yeah, definitely has been very effective for this Vermont team. Now that, though, is a response from Colorado. Clean 2-3 throw hold.
Colorado showing that the deep game, they can work that too. They've got some athletes, and Stacey Gaskill is as good a target as any. And also a well-placed throws. Gaskill doesn't have to go up against anybody for that. Just keep running. Back and forth possession for Oregon and UNC. But a short field turn for Oregon, well defended. So UNC with a great chance to get to, I think it'll be the first 2-goal lead of this game. Looks like an isolation for Kaylin Louder, and one shimmy shake gets her free, but the disc will not be collected. Oregon, however, unable to complete the ensuing pass. Pull going out from Colorado. Ego to follow. And UNC into the end zone for Don Colton. Nope, just to the goal line.
Stall count getting high for Colton. Takes a shot around.
A really tough throw, well executed, but bounces off the hands of the target. UNC's Dara Buba not able to catch that pass. Meanwhile, Colorado gets a break chance.
Huge effort there from Colton. Pressure the throw, but it goes through.
So Oregon has had a number of opportunities. Can they convert? Getting a bit stagnant upfield. And there they get to the break side. That's exactly what they needed at this point. Georgia on a hold. Vermont trying to work on 1-2. So's Oregon.
Bottom of your screen, Colorado took a big shot out to Brestovich. Didn't go, so now Vermont just charging back up the field on the counterattack.
Ambitious throw, and I'm not sure how they managed to track that down. Turning on the late wheels is Ella Monahan, that rookie you mentioned. She's one of the top freshmen in the division, and you can see why. She's been doing her accelerators, that's for sure.
I'm loving the athleticism and foot speed that we're seeing in some of these new classes of college players. Keith, I mentioned it to Evan Lepler this morning on the Stanford Carleton stream. It's one of the reasons why I asked for these D3 and D1 tournaments. I love seeing this young talent, and I love following them all the way through. Some of these players are going to end up on top club teams. We're going to be able to follow them through the rest of the year. It's a long season, and they just keep getting better and better. It's so exciting to see the seeds of that right here.
Well, Kelsey, you know where I've seen a lot of these players play? High school national invite. We got to get you out there because I remember a bunch of these Georgia guys winning it back with Grady.
Oh, heck yeah.
Grady renamed now to Midtown, but I remember those days, and a number of these players on Oregon playing with their youth club team. There was South Eugene, who's been a staple at the High School National Invite, won a couple High School National Invite championships. So a chance you can get to know some of these players a little early. I'll have to get you on the High School National Invite list to come call some games. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, I would love that. I've watched a lot of the film, but I've never been in person. Though, if we're going young, one of my favorite things, middle school clinics. You laugh. But there is such enthusiasm and commitment at that really young age. You're getting players access earlier than they've ever been before. 7th grade, first time I was introduced to throwing a flick, and it really shaped the next 10 years of my life.
Energy's starting to pick up here in Madison, I think, as there's starting to be a sense of urgency for these teams. Ego into the end zone for a hold. Break chance now for Colorado. And UNC beginning their offensive possession. Excuse me, this is a offensive point that Colorado's out on. But it comes up short, and a great field position for Vermont.
For forever friends of Ultiworld and those in the Discord, we just got wind. We have a Charlie Eisenhood en route. I've been landing here soon.
I know it's hard to believe that we've come from the Ultiworld's first college championships, where it was me and Charlie Eisenhood and one reporter covering the entire event, just running around, and we were trying to stream, to a point where we can do 70 streamed games or 60 or whatever we have ended up with after we had to cut some because of the conditions, without him even here. Guy flies in late, and we can still pull it off. It's been a real real treat to see Ultiworld grow, and I'm glad that people like what we do enough to continue to support that growth.
Yeah, it's such a privilege, and I truly think changing the landscape of Ultimate, it's hilarious that not only have teams become kind of used to pre-scouting, watching each other on film at this college level, but almost the expectation of the disappointment if they can't watch another team and scout their options. A little bit of contact there, top right of your screen through the Georgia, plays through it, no foul call, helps the defender out.
Yeah, I guess that's going to fall under the category of acceptable contact, which it's a non-contact sport by definition, but the players get some liberty to choose what level of contact they feel is appropriate for them.
I do like personal when I'm not just coaching but playing. I like the matchups where there's a mutual agreement, verbal or just you agree to play that little bit more physical, that little bit faster, that little bit more all in, but you do it as a pair. I think where players get into trouble is when one player is playing significantly more aggressive and more physical and the other player doesn't feel comfortable doing so. It needs to be a joint mutual decision.
Cole Chandler on the score for Georgia. Fugue offense back out as Colorado gets to the end zone, but a drop. Rory Catalano just not able to secure that through at the end. Now deep shot for Fugue, and they get a goal.
Yeah,
so they're going toe-to-toe with UNC. I mean, they're at the 10-10 point, and neither team has been able to gain any real separation from the other.
Yeah, with Vermont up 13, this Colorado team really needs to take advantage of all those opportunities. Dropping the disc just there in the end zone. They are getting another look here. But at this point, time is also a factor. If they're going to get their way back into this game, they have to start scoring quickly, cleanly, and stacking up and carving some of those breaks back. So a good first step here. But yeah, needing more points on the scoreboard.
Get you some updates from around the complex because there's some interesting ones here in Madison. It's another round of some drama. All right, let me give you the rundown as fast as I can here because we got great games in front of us too. Pitt, who came back against UMass only to lose last round, they're giving up a comeback to Minnesota. That was 9-5, and now it's 9-8. Carleton lost to NC State earlier today. Now they're down to Wash U. It's 11-9 Wash U in that one. Then you've got Oregon State and UNC. We mentioned earlier Oregon State up 9-8 previously. It's now 12-12. Could UNC be taken down by the 5 seed of their pool, the number 1 overall seed? Wow. Drama here in Madison. Definitely be sure to be in the Discord to follow along the live Ultimate channel. Deep shot going up for UNC, and Teresa Yu, who's been, feel like, active in the deep space today, more so than I'm typically used to seeing from a player who's usually such a facilitator. But showing off the wheels, then we see the little jump shot. Maybe that was more of a free throw, a little set look.
Keith, I'm still a little bit stuck on that 12v12. That would really put the cat in the hen house.
Yeah, you want to shake things up. I mean, look to the Beavers. That's a team that likes it spicy. We've got them coming up on the showcase against Alabama Huntsville later today. That should be a matchup with a lot of big plays in it. Speaking of big plays, how about that layout save from Vermont? Back to back there.
Open shot, looks for Stone. Stone wide open in the end zone.
I mean, I know I was maybe in some eyes denigrating the style of attack of this Vermont team. But my, are they big and fast.
Just so many weapons. One of the things I was talking about earlier with the Carleton game is just how many different tools they have in play to attack you with. This Vermont team, exactly like that. Just the breadth. It's not take out this particular player.
Another Adam Miller deep shot hits the back corner to Scotty Whitley, one of their cutters who's been on a breakout campaign. Back to your point, Kelsey.
Oh, I'm actually on the Whitley train at this point. You've derailed me because Whitley, again, the more diminutive stature, but so impactful. And love him in the small spaces, deadly in the red zone, but able to open up and get a big deep look like that. Whitley had a really fantastic Florida invite. You get a chance, rewatch some of that footage. Georgia didn't have the prettiest of games, but man, they sure really started to build their identity there at that tournament, and you're seeing a lot of those pieces in play right now.
He's had a breakout campaign in 2024. After a pretty strong rookie year, struggled a little bit with injury last year, but it was a nice recruit. I believe another Midtown/Grady alum, but he's a player who's already got experience with chain. He's only a sophomore, and he's up to some big things this year. Helping Georgia get that 12-10 lead. Fugue into the end zone to keep that game taut. 11-11.
Effort from Colorado, can't keep it up. Vermont takes the shot on deep. Defensive pressure is there, but Vermont in striking distance again. About to seal this game up.
Now, how bad of a pass do they have to throw for it to be a 50-50? Because it feels like everything else is in their favor. And there it is. Ruckus cruising in the second half, using their athleticism and their deep game and a feisty defense. Nadia Scapitone gets both the sky and the score for Vermont. 15-8 win.
And that's one of the things I was talking about with this Vermont team. You're getting some of these high seeds at the tournament, and they have so many different weapons they can attack with. You're not just taking out Stone. You're not just taking out McCarthy. Everyone's a threat. You have to play team defense, and they're still able to push it through. Big sellies there from Vermont. Their energy is high. Colorado, not the game they wanted. They showed a lot of respectable poise in the first half, but they've got to be able to respond better, come out more. On to the next game, though. A lot of play left in today.
Block for Oregon, and now Fugue with a chance to break and get in front of UNC, but short-lived. That UNC defense after the turn just remained strong.
Now, you talked about the grit of this UNC team. Not being as clean, a little bit as clinical, but I think that shows on both sides of the disc of just the intensity of their defense and really willingness to grind and make it hard for the other team.
Birdsong under. Georgia with a break chance, looking towards the end zone now with a target, and that is an excellent throw. And Georgia with a break to surge out in front of an Oregon team they haven't been able to shake. Carter Ratour with the score. And here's the missed catch. And Oregon State just had a couple of those just get away from them. And this Georgia team's too good to be able to make those kinds of mistakes again with any frequency.
Rodder there with the eye contact to the camera after the catch.
They're getting better at that. These college kids are learning better and better how to find that camera.
Know their angles. Good Lord, what are we doing, Keith?
It's a byproduct of getting all this great footage out for you.
Yeah, but I liked what he did. He tracked the disc and then went back and attacked it. I think if he waits for it to come to him, defensive pressure gets there. Instead, Georgia creeping ever closer, crossing over Adam Miller again. Lots of rest for Aiden Downing, but Adam Miller just undefatigable. He can play and play and play at the highest level. The combination of endurance and explosiveness, I feel like, is rare. And you see it in Ultimate, but the people who truly can be fast and do it for miles. Pretty incredible.
Teresa Yu with an assist for a UNC hold. Took him a couple of tries, but like we said, this team is comfortable playing with some grit. And now an overthrow for Oregon. Adam Miller finishing off the play. Or maybe, no, that's Adam Goldstein, I guess. I mean, I'm almost positive that is Adam Miller.
It is. He's changed his number a couple times. That's absolutely Adam Miller.
Okay, I'm sticking with it.
Watch the break throws and the release points.
Yeah, I mean, that's an Adam Miller throw if I know one. Glass, though, all over it. I mean, he's been a monster in the deep space on defense. And I'll tell you what, sometimes he just looks tireless, Micah Glass.
We talked about that, not just in performance, but it almost becomes a piece of the attack against the other team when they don't feel like they can wear you down. Whether or not you feel it inside, how do you present yourself to the other team? So no cracks in that veneer. Micah Glass on the break side, moving the defense. Going every other, attacking with the legs, and just the gorgeous shot to space for the score.
Oregon still, though, I think playing with fire just hasn't quite been as easy for them as it has been for Georgia. And so they're going to have to turn things around quickly if they want to get back in front because they're running out of time. Trying to keep an eye on these scores from around the tournament as well.
Raekwon Adkins there with the score. He's had some nice plays, a little quieter this game specifically. But had some big moments in the game against North Carolina State yesterday, the on-again, off-again game that we had here on Field Pass.
He's a fantastic new addition for Oregon. Great recruit out of California. Oakland product, I believe. And he's got a bright future.
Is Alameda Oakland?
I think close enough. I don't know the geography of California or really anything that well, but I remember him from the Oakland YCC team.
I pretty much only go to California for nationals. That's about it.
Great crossfield look from Oregon to get into the end zone with Trout Waybright. Fugue is not back down from UNC at any point.
Offhand grab there from Aiden Downing, right side of your screen. I think one of the things I like best about Downing, other than his high release throws, is the casualness. One of the players that I don't know that I can say coach, sometimes I feel like he coaches me, but Matt Rader, phenomenal player in the men's game, has a stillness and then explode. Aiden Downing will do that same. The Sally from Adam Miller, the Elvis.
I've never seen a college team that spends so much time moving their hips as this Georgia men's team. They're just always getting down and boogieing in the end zone. But I guess if you got it, flaunt it. I'm hearing in the distance we have Cal Poly Sloan, Colorado, going to double game point universe for that one. North Carolina able to come back and fend off Oregon State in the men's division. Wash U up 12-11 on Carleton in the other matchup from Pool B in the men's division. Minnesota and Pittsburgh. Don't have an updated score on that, but it is close. 10-9 is the last thing I've got there. In the women's division, Georgia and Michigan, I know, are in a super tight one. A lot of good games, and two of them are in front of you, especially this Oregon-UNC matchup that has just been decided by a hair's width. And another score for Teresa Yu. She's just eating up downfield.
Yeah, just a 2-3 throw hold for North Carolina. That's exactly what they needed right at this point. This game is so tight. Each team just trying to eke out these little advantages of momentum, winning the energy battle. Oregon's really responded here in the second half. North Carolina has the edge, but they've got to stay on top.
I know. North Carolina is known for their youth scene, that incredible triangle that's produced talents like Dawn Colton. But Teresa Yu, where I'm from now, Connecticut, pride of Connecticut. So, sure, would I have preferred that she had stayed to go to UConn, of course. But glad she could represent the Nutmeg State so well.
But, Keith, I will say there's a strength, especially when you come from a youth area that has such definitive systems, to have exposure to other areas. It really makes you a more well-rounded player, and I think adds to the depth of knowledge that you have as a player, the ability to learn and maybe think different ways and work more cohesively within other looks and systems. I think one of the strengths of the Triangle area is their cohesiveness from the youth scene into college, into their more elite club and pro, semi-pro units. Just, you're going to see a consistency all the way through of not just, set plays, but also clearing motions, what they look for, how they communicate, what vocabulary they use. That's incredibly powerful.
Keisha Hahn testing Dawn Colton. Not going to back off, trying to get Cyrus Linkfield the disc. UNC applying pressure, but Oregon continues to find options.
Allison Riley was in the area, was looking for the bid. Instead, it'll come from Colton, but Colton takes the injury call. That's a tough one. You want the D, but do you want it at the expense of Colton on the field?
Oregon relenting. Take another look. Again, looking to get it up to Linkfield, and Colton just takes flight. I mean, for most players, that would be incredible, but I feel like we're just so accustomed to watching Dawn Colton do that. Ellie Donahue with the turnover. And now UNC a chance to go up too late in this one.
UNC with good spacing, but they look a little stagnant downfield. I like that they're starting to swing the disc, maybe letting their cutters get into a bit of space, but good switch there from Oregon.
And Teresa Yu, I believe the sub for Colton. And, we've talked about how effective she's been on offense in this game. Now Keisha Hahn covering her. Great move by Sarah Combs to set up this break side movement. And Combs is cut, gets her team to the right part of the field, and that right part is the end zone.
God, what a perfect time for a break. Right there, the explosive play from Colton. But then the transition, they were able to swing it across the field, but then attack right back over to that break side. Defense just no way to catch up. What a punctuation to not just punch in the score, but punch it in with style.
Yeah, I mean, I get that you want to get Cyrus Linkfield the disc and you see a pair of open hands, but after all this time, you got to know you can't feed the beast. You can't leave a treat for Dawn Colton now like that. And they already threw one that was a potential Colton block a few passes earlier on the possession, and then to come back to it, you leave it out in front of her. I mean, you're talking about a generational defender. You can't give her this.
So, am I hearing you saying, Keith, that you would rather take Colton completely out of the play?
I mean, if you get a more open look, but if you have a small window and you have a choice between pump faking it and looking elsewhere because Dawn Colton's in the area, I mean, you got to adjust. You got to know the personnel.
Points Mel Wade. So switching over to this Georgia-Oregon game. Oregon on the march. This would be, I believe, a break look for this Oregon team. Carving their way back in. Georgia had a commanding lead, had a chance to take it for half. Instead, it's Oregon who goes up a point back within one. Georgia, another chance to close out this game.
And I think Slow just defeated Colorado on Universe over on the showcase field.
I was really impressed with what I saw with the Slow team, but we didn't really see anyone test them in the previous round. So definitely one that I'll be going back and keeping an eye on.
Oregon trying to stay alive, and a perfect throw out in front of Waybright, and you know that he's got the wheels. Hard to overthrow that target.
God, Waybright's been so impactful. He's just really shown an ability to do all things. An incredibly well-rounded player. Such a key part of this Oregon team. Take another look at this.
I mean, that's one of my favorite things about this Fugue attack is, we've seen Waybright operate from the backfield. You've seen Linkfield taking the deep throws. You've seen Linkfield going downfield. How do you match up with this team when you don't know exactly which parts of the offense they're going to operate in?
And I think what I loved about that point, too, was the break through the space, the almost like tuck around the defender's back to get that throw out. Otherwise, maybe it's a butterfly cut look instead for Waybright, but out to space, perfect touch, able to run onto it.
Well, now the task in front of Fugue is doing something they haven't done all game, which is score 3 in a row on this UNC team.
Challenge in front of both of these Oregon teams. Down 1. Look at our scores again, Keith.
Yeah, I guess I could have just said Oregon, because I guess that's the task for both Oregon squads.
And the choice here, I guess it kind of is no choice. You got to score this one. You got to break. You got to punch it in. Load up your lines, because this is a big one if you can pull it in.
Out of bounds pull, not the way you want to start your run at a comeback.
Talk to me about pet peeves, Keith. This is one of mine.
It's funny, I'm like related but not quite the same, which is fielding pulls. That's one of my pet peeves. Especially when you can tell people get nervous, game gets tight, and the pull's unfielded. UNC squeezing out of a tight space there. Late release valve from you, and a nice throw from Riley to get there. Colton getting free deep, but no throw goes up, and instead the under is turned over. Acacia Hahn getting ready to pick up, try and keep Oregon in this game. Meanwhile, Georgia closes it out. A big Aiden Downey grab, and like you said, there's a casual demeanor as he goes up like it's easy.
Well, and I think one of my favorite points, just to the lead off of that, all the big body language from Keith Rayner. You wish you were here to see it. Crooked with the duck under the pole, making sure that he didn't touch it as it was going. Wasn't sure where it was going to go. But yeah, Georgia, when they're in flow, when they're loose, when they're playing casual, executing at such a higher level than if they're playing like high intensity. It's really fascinating.
Diving save from Colton, and then she tries to push in the offhand throw to Combs, but mis-executes it, and I think that's the risk of relying on that offhand throw so much, as it can be a tough throw to make.
Another look at that offhand grab from Downey. All eyes on this North Carolina-Oregon game. North Carolina gets another opportunity. Colton going every other.
Doug Colton just Colterizing the game with that takeaway, a layout interception that seals the game. I mean, that is why she is Dawn Colton. That's why you know that name, is because she just does that.
Colterizing. That's one for the books.
Coltonizing. Maybe that's what I should have said.
Cauterizing the wound. Just give it in. You're not getting that limb back. God, Dawn Colton's taking it. Yeah, Erica Birdsong part of that score there. What an effort. What an incredible game.
Do you see what I'm saying, though? If she is on the heels of your receiver, the window is not as big as it looks. She closes the window. Her range is too big. So you have to know this is not open. I have to pump fake it. And Dawn Colton with two big defensive plays to close down this game for North Carolina. And they survive a tough test from an Oregon team that gave them all they could handle.
Wow, so much. So loved what I saw from these two teams. Definitely think we're going to be seeing more of them. These are teams that I could see really having an impact on into the bracket. We are going to get more of that bracket play tomorrow. In the meantime, lots more Ultimate to see.
The great games just keep coming here in Madison, and the best way to take them all in is here with us on Field Pass. 3 more rounds to go, and if they're anything like this, it's going to be a long and fruitful day here on Field Pass. Stay with us as we get ready for round 3 on Saturday.